Hello, so today we're going to talk about another compatibility technique, which is a Vedic technique, which I find to be very accurate. So for this one, you need to use your sidereal chart, okay? So you need to find online a calculator that is going to calculate your chart, which is sidereal, right? And not the tropical Western system that you use currently, but the sidereal system, which is the one that is mostly used in India. And because the reason why is because sidereal and tropical system, tropical being the one that we use in the West the most, are 24 degrees apart currently. So you need to subtract 24 degrees from your tropical planets. Okay, so once you have your sidereal chart, you need to look at two key planets. Well, there are two key planets to look for in this chart. The first one is the Atmakaraka and the second one is the Darakaraka. So I'm probably not pronouncing right, I'm trying, but yeah. To make it short, we're going to call it AK and DK, Atmakaraka, Darakaraka. So the Atmakaraka, the AK, is the planet with the highest degrees in your chart, okay? So this represents you. Okay, this represents your desire, your purpose in this life. It's really what you're here to do. It's your lesson. It's what you incarnate. So this is really the core essence of you at your deepest level. It really shapes your identity and it shapes your life even. Now, the DK is the planet with the lowest degree in your chart, and this, amongst other things, but especially represents your spouse or represents your partner. You know, what you're looking for in a partner. It represents the dynamic in your partnerships and the qualities that you seek and that you need in a partner, and also the lessons that you learn through relationships. So you find this planet at the lowest degree and you look at what it is. Now, in sidereal Vedic astrology, you don't use Uranus, Neptune and Pluto. You don't use those planets. You only use the seven classical planets: Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. So basically, just the planet itself is going to really describe the type of partner that you tend to really go for. You know, I know that in Western astrology we have many different methods to calculate compatibility and to look for like your type or things like that. But I find that the Darakaraka is like the simplest method that you can use, really, because it's just one planet. And of course, there are other things to look for. You know, it's not just that, but that in itself is really going to embody the person, and it tends to be accurate. You know, when it comes to prediction, like you actually get that person. So basically, I'm going to describe to you the different planets. If you have the sun as the Darakaraka, you may be with someone who is going to be very proud, authoritative, confident, right? It's going to be a guiding light in your life. This is going to be a leader, right? This is someone who's going to be very steady, very reliable. The sun is very rational, right? It always shows up every morning. So there's this kind of like, very reliable quality to the sun. It's a very masculine planet, very young. So yeah, you tend to have like this leader, right, quality. It's not the most mushy, romantic planet, but it's very straightforward, very honest. There is a nobility to the sun as well. So yeah, there can be lessons around like ego, individuality in marriage. You tend to learn a lot about yourself as well when you're with someone. And the spouse can be the one who calls the shot a little bit, depending on the placement of the sun. Always look at the condition of the planet as well, you know. But in general, the planet itself is going to really describe the essence of the person. Now, if you have the moon as DK, the spouse is going to be more like the mother, right? It's going to be more nurturing. It's going to be more sensitive, emotional, maybe a bit changeable, maybe more of a needy type of person as well. Emotional bonds and emotions in general, psychology, all those things are very present in the bond as well. So you can have a bit of a parental quality with the moon as well. That's what I've noticed. Now, again, look at the condition of the moon. If the moon, for example, is conjunct to Saturn and it's your Darakaraka, it's not going to be the typical sweet parenting, right? With Saturn, there's going to be a bit more of maybe something that's a bit more about like stability, you know, or like it's not as sentimental, you know what I mean? Doesn't mean it's bad, but that's more like your own expression. And there are going to be a lot of like having to learn about like your own emotions, having to express yourself, you know, these kind of things. Because remember that the Darakaraka, the DK, is the planet with the lowest degree. So in a sense, it's kind of like your, I don't want to say it's your weakest planet, but it's something you have to really learn through someone else, in a sense, because it's quite low in your own life. It's kind of like the seventh house, in a sense. It's something that you don't really incarnate or focus on that much. Now, if the DK is Mercury, the spouse is going to be very witty, communicative, curious, very adaptable. This could be someone who is quite good with money, business. This could be someone who could be possibly younger than you. Having this kind of like almost sibling-like bond is going to be very important. The intellectual connection is the most important, I would say, for you. And this is someone who probably is quite chatty, or who expresses himself a lot, especially compared to you, okay? Because remember that this is always going to be kind of like a mirror to you. This is kind of like a quality that you're lacking, in a sense, right? Now, if Mars is your Darakaraka, the spouse is going to be very combative, very independent, fiery, assertive, competitive. He or she can have some anger issues. Again, we have more of a masculine sort of character here. Even if you're a man and you're looking for a woman, or whatever, whoever you are, if you want a woman, this could be someone who is going to be more on the masculine side, more sporty as well. Yeah, more like Mars is a very expressive planet. Mars has no filter. So this is the kind of energy you can expect. Quite warm as well, enthusiastic. There can be a lot of passion, and it can be fun as well, Mars. If Venus is your DK, the spouse is going to be charming. You're really looking for that beauty in someone else. You're looking for this, like, someone who brings beauty in your life, someone who is attractive, someone who brings you a lot of pleasure, someone who's artistic, romantic. Yeah, you really want this romance in your life, and you want the spouse to kind of represent this beautiful image of love, kind of. Yeah, Venus as well, the spouse could work in art or fashion, these kind of things. Jupiter, if you have Jupiter as Darakaraka, the spouse is going to be wise, is going to be more spiritual, more teacher-like, in a sense. This is going to be someone also, what I've noticed with, my father has Jupiter Darakaraka, and my mother is strongly Jupiterian. And she has very strong opinions. She has a lot of knowledge about like a bunch of different things, and my father is more this mercurial character who kind of like pick up information everywhere, but it's harder for him to pick one thing and have one opinion. And my mother is more like, yeah, you need to do this is the direction you need to take. So Jupiter really kind of like brings you direction. It's someone who's philosophical, someone who could have could be religious as well, or could have very strong beliefs. But in general, this is someone who's very generous, philanthropic as well. And Saturn, the spouse may be quite serious, disciplined, very hardworking. There can be a lot of focus on work. This can be more like, sometimes with Saturn, what I see, not always, but I see sometimes people marrying for like, because of duty or things like that, or there's this strong kind of like financial foundation, right? This strong material foundation with Saturn in general. So you can actually have a spouse who makes a lot of money, depending on the condition of Saturn, but I've seen that in several charts. And there can be lessons around like patience, responsibility, sometimes a bit of distance as well with Saturn. You can marry someone older as well, or there can be like a big age gap with Saturn, like I'm talking like plus 8, plus 10, years. But doesn't have to be that. It can also be that, yeah, this is someone very mature, very serious, Now, another thing that I've found to be very accurate when it comes to looking at the Darakaraka is to predict the placement of your spouse. You can kind of do that, You need to look at the nakshatras. So the nakshatras, what are they? They are the lunar mansions in Vedic astrology. So they are 27 in total, and basically they are like subdivisions of the signs, okay, of the 12 zodiac sign. So like I said, they are 27, and all are ruled by the 7 classical planets plus Rahu and Ketu. So you always have 3 nakshatras ruled by the same planets, and they trine each other. So let's say that your Darakaraka is Mercury. Likely, very likely, the spouse will have placements in those nakshatras. And when I say placement, I mean big three. I mean sun, moon, or ascendant especially. They will have that in those nakshatras, one of those nakshatras. More often than not. I've seen that to be maybe one of the most accurate predictive tool in astrology to predict like spouse placement, things like that. So yeah, like I said, Mercury, this would be, what would this be? This would be Ashlesha Nakshatra, Jyeshta, and Revati. So these three nakshatras are ruled by Mercury, okay? And you can do that with all the 7 planets. Now, another thing that you can expect, now this cannot really predict the placement, but this is something that I've seen a lot, is that the Darakaraka of one partner is the Atmakaraka of the other. So it's switch, you know. And this I've noticed, it tends to really create like one of the strongest bond, like a bond that's really, it really feels like, oh, we are perfect for each other, you know. There's really this feeling of like, oh, I found you, soulmate, really. Because Atmakaraka means the planet of the soul planet. So basically, your planet with the highest degree, let's say your planet with the highest degree is Saturn, and the other person, the partner, has Saturn as the lowest degree. So basically, what you incarnate, which is your planet with the highest degree, represents what the other person's needs in a partner, planet with the lowest degree, okay? So that's it for this method. I hope that you understand it. I hope that it makes sense. And please like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in another video. Bye.